I've been doing this podcast for years, and we're in fact on episode 294, which is crazy to me. But I love it so much because I get to meet people, I get to have conversation, and it's something that's easy for me to do and provide a ton of value for my listeners and use it in a bunch of different places. So if you've been thinking about starting a podcast, but just not really sure how to even get started or what to think about before you even make the decision to start a podcast, this is the episode for you. And I'm really excited for you to meet my guest, Vince Quinn. Vince Quinn is the co-founder and creative director of SBX Productions, where he helps businesses and foundations start podcasts that power their marketing. He also hosts a podcast about the same thing called It's Not Just Talking. And he shares so many great things about mindset around it, practical things, tools and resources, and so definitely something to consider. This podcast drives my entire marketing arm for my business and really helps me drive traffic to my website, drive traffic to my programs, services, to things that I'm working on, my email list, all of the things, and we repurpose it everywhere. So I hope that you will take a listen to this podcast if you've been thinking about kind of the long form content that you want to create and how you want to get engaged in maybe YouTube or just building trust with people because they're listening to you or watching you. I think it's just been a great tool for me, and I hope that and know that it would be a great tool for you. So before we get into this episode, it is brought to you by our free resources. So make sure you head on over to thefirstclick.net/resources. And the one that I'm going to recommend today, just because we do talk about it in the episode, is our tech checklist. It is really just going to walk you through all the things to consider when it comes to choosing the technology that you need for a certain purpose. It even has a free template spreadsheet that you can use to go through them all, make the decision, and pick the one that's right for you. It could be podcast software, it could be a CRM, it could be email marketing, whatever it is, whatever tech you're thinking of adding to your organization, the tech checklist is the best thing for you. So go to thefirstclick.net/resources, grab whatever free resource you need for where you're at in your online fundraising and digital marketing needs. For now, let's get into the episode. You're listening to the Digital Marketing Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Sammy Bedell-Mulhern. Each month, we dive deep into a digital marketing or fundraising strategy that you can implement in your organization. Each week, you'll hear from guest experts, nonprofits, and myself on best practices, tips, and resources to help you raise more money online and reach your organizational goals. Hey, friends, please join me in welcoming Vince Quinn to the podcast. Vince, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we're talking all things podcast today. This podcast is nearing 300 episodes, which I think is completely bonkers to me. And I know
congratulations to you. That's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a labor of love, but I love it. But you also have a podcast. You're obsessed with podcasts. Why do you think they're such a powerful tool before we kind of jump into some strategies?
Yeah, because in a way to me, podcasts are a machine. And by a machine, that can be a Ferrari that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, or it can be an ice cream maker that like sits in your closet and you just kind of forget about it. Like it could be there's so many different ways, shapes, styles, powers with a podcast. And that flexibility and range is like really incredible and fascinating. And to have the opportunity to work with all these different business owners to understand, okay, what are you doing? What are your resources? How can we tie this together in the best way that fits your time, your energy, the kinds of topics you talk about, what your audience is like? It's just fun. I mean, honestly, I just really I've always enjoyed like untangling knots and I mean, puzzles I kind of get sick and tired of when it gets too hard. But I like solving things and finding these beautiful connections where stuff ties together in a really good way. And podcasting is a great way to do that. It's just it's awesome to see how something that is fun. I mean, like we're having a conversation, we're having a good time. Like it's cool to say that you can get something like this and make it business. You know, it just doesn't like growing up. This wasn't something that you could do, and I love that it's a job. Like this is it's the best thing ever.
Yeah, so good. And, you know, for nonprofits, like, why might they even want to think, like, I think they're focused on fundraising, they're focused on sharing and, like, doing the work they're doing in their community or solving the problem that they're working towards. Like, you know, why would they want to start a podcast, or what would be the goal or purpose for them?
Yeah, so part of the purpose is repurpose, right? It's the content that you make from a podcast, you can use it to drive everything that you're doing with your marketing. Because I think the common problem that so many people get tied into is, oh, we're doing this podcast, so it's got to be this whole other thing, and it's this different voice and different content on top of what we're already doing. And the biggest argument that I could say to anybody is, it's not at all. It is the same voice. It's the same message. You're just doing it in a different medium. Your principles are the same. Your mission is the same. The kinds of people that you help is the same. Those success stories and upcoming events are the same. So talk about the same things and use that as the ability to make your life easier in all other channels of your marketing. Like all the shows that I work with, I encourage them as much as they have the opportunity and the means to do it, is get your transcripts and re-edit those and turn them into newsletters, turn them into blog posts, get clips from your show and put them all over social media on all of your major platforms. Use it as a means to network and connect. Bring on your donors. Bring on people that you've impacted through your foundation, the kinds of good that you've done. Like, make those stories real and bring it to your donors, bring it to your audience, your supporters, your community. Like, it's just such a beautiful way to tie all of it together. So that's really what it comes down to. Yeah, it's like, it's not all of this additional extra work. It's everything unified and to a degree simplified, because you're not thinking, oh, what are we going to do on LinkedIn, which is different than what we're doing on Instagram, which is different than what's in the newsletter. It's the same kind of stuff. It's the same ideas, the same messages, and you're just changing the way that you present that information.
1,000%. This podcast drives every single thing that we do marketing wise. From all the things that you just mentioned, right? Like and I kind of want to touch on the tech side of things, because I think that's also a place where people get stuck. And so as you're talking about, like, you can take this podcast, and we do a video podcast, you can do just an audio podcast, it doesn't matter. But as we kind of think about how we're repurposing it, I would love for you to maybe share some of your favorite tools that you use. But I feel like it's, even from a couple years ago, so much easier with AI, with some of these platforms that aren't crazy expensive, to do what you just said very quickly. It's just putting the process together.
Yeah, so for a lot of this stuff, there's different options for clips, for example. That is one of the biggest things that really gets people down. And I'll say this too before I even really get into it. Anybody who wants to do an audio show, totally respect that. You don't have to build a YouTube channel right away and do all of that work with editing and whatever. But I would recommend recording video and doing video clips. And with that being said, great video editors out there that are affordable, get you captions, and can simplify your process of finding those sound bites. Opus Clip is a really popular one that a lot of podcasters use. It is very easy to find. CapCut is another one. Although as we do this, CapCut is connected to TikTok, and we'll see where all of that goes. It did go dark when TikTok went dark, but it is a very good tool, and people use it all the time. So as a video editor, that's one of the biggest things that you can do, is either of those tools. They also have some audio features, particularly in CapCut. So you can edit your audio for your podcast in there, so you get to double up in that way. And then beyond that, I mean, it's really the recording platforms that you use. Some of them give you transcripts. You'll get an AI transcript that comes with that. Or if you want to use a free tool, and maybe for other reasons you use Descript, which is a very popular tool, then you can get your transcripts, you can load them into Descript, and they will take care of it for you. And then you just reformat it on your own. How do you get everything that you talked about organically for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 40 minutes, and boil it down to all of these different newsletters and posts? That's how you do it. You get this transcript, and then you put in some work, whether you have AI that helps you do that or you do it manually, whatever works for you in your process. But those are the kinds of things that allow you to start maximizing the yield, right? We're all farmers, just bringing up crops, and we just want to get the most out of the season, right? We want the rain, and we want to maximize our crop yield. So that's the kind of stuff that we do.
Yeah. No, I love that. We record in Squadcast, which is Descript's recording platform if you're doing interviews. And we use Descript AI to help us start to write the show notes, to start to pull key takeaways, to give us the clips and all of that good stuff. So it makes it just a lot faster. Obviously, we have our hands on everything, but I just like that. I would challenge you to go to a tool you're already using, like Vimeo's adding a bunch more features. Like, all of these platforms are adding in all of these different features. So you might find that a software you're already using has added in some of these things that you didn't even know existed, which can make your life easier just because you haven't needed them in the past. So I love all those tools. And to your point, Yes, we're recording this in January, but this episode doesn't go live for a bit. So, paying attention to what you're using and multi-purposing your podcast is even better, because we never know what's going to happen with the social media channel or how that outreach is going to happen. So what I love about a podcast is you can put it on your website and you own the content. It's there that you can share in perpetuity. And so no matter what the platforms are, you can just go back and repurpose that content and put it on the new platform or the better platform that's performing for you.
Yeah, it's flexibility and ownership, right? It's a beautiful thing. And podcasts in the same way, just having the podcast. Let's say for some reason, iHeartRadio decides that, okay, we're shutting down, even in the most extreme case. No problem. You're on 7 other platforms. Like, there's so many ways to find a podcast and access it. So it's not just Apple and Spotify. And if something happened to one of those major platforms, all the same, people are going to find somewhere else to go and listen to their shows. So you get flexibility in terms of being able to reach your audience with that show just directly with the feed. And then beyond that, yeah, you get to post on all these different platforms. And as much as you can make it easy for you to regularly post on all of those platforms, then you're really not as invested and it's not as big a hit. And you can start to really do the reactive planning ahead things of like, okay, well, there is a potential for something to happen on a given platform. Now we can start to tell our audience, hey, you might be aware that this is happening. And if you're not, either way, you should start following us here. Here's other places where we're active. And you can tell your audience before things just disappear to go over there. It gives you security and safety. And that's part of what this is all about.
That's so great. Okay, so what do we want to consider tech stuff aside? Because I think we have a freebie that we'll link up in the show notes that talks about how to kind of process what technology you're going to use in general. So it's a checklist that helps you walk through like the pros and cons of everything. So go grab that if you want to kind of process the technology you're going to use. But what do we want to think about? Like, as we're developing our show concept, as we're kind of thinking about what we want that to look like, what types of things should we think about in that process before we even start booking guests or hitting record?
Yeah, so number one thing is alignment, right? So many people, when they start the podcast, they think, what I'm going to do on this podcast, it's going to be this big viral show that everybody's going to listen to. We're going to get hundreds of thousands of listeners. We're going to get sponsors. I'm going to be selling MeUndies. Like, I don't know. Like, people they go crazy with it. And it is not that at all. This is your marketing. Okay. So think of it from a marketing standpoint. Anything else that happens with any of that stuff is a bonus, but this is marketing for your business. So think about, what do you do, or your foundation? Like, what do you do every day? What are you about? What are the main things that your audience wants to hear? What are the main problems that you solve? And what are the things you're most passionate about? Like, they should all be in alignment and talk about those things. That's it. It's very simple. You do not have to overcomplicate it, but come in with that mindset of what you do is what you talk about. And that's all it needs to be conceptually. Like, there's other little bells and whistles that go with that, but on the base level, just be in alignment. Don't decide that you're going to start talking about fitness all the time. Like, that's not what you do. That's not what your brand is. Do not do that, right?
Yeah.
It's like people tend to get distracted. The other thing is, just try it before you tell anybody. I mean, I am a huge proponent of pilots, because the whole idea being like a television show, when that gets launched, what happens is they do a pilot. So they do one episode and they fully produce it. And then the network goes, we like this, we don't like this, we're going to green light it and do a whole season, or we're not. Do that with your podcast. Like, do the show, see if you like it, see the process and the workload. If there's things you can do to make that better so it is sustainable, then great, make those tweaks. Build up a couple of episodes and then go live. Like, be thoughtful in it. I think a lot of times people, because the industry is still new in a lot of ways, and the examples are not necessarily good ones, everybody feels like, oh, we'll just get out there and we'll just figure it out. But if you're announcing as a brand, as a foundation, like whatever, to represent yourself and say, hey, here's this podcast, and then you do 3 episodes and it dies, like, that does not help you. And it loses trust, and it's a waste of time for everybody. So, like, do it first, be quiet about it, be patient with it, make sure you like it, make it to the point where it's sustainable and it's getting the message that you need, it's supporting things that you need. And once you know that, then go live, then make the investment in stuff. If you want certain microphones or a camera, or then you can do those things, but know you're committed first, because so many people, again, they just want to get out there. And that seems to be the norm, and the norm is wrong. Like, it's not the right way to do things for most people, and especially for businesses and foundations. It's not the way to go.
Yeah, because I think to that also, don't put so much pressure that it has to be perfect, because you will also learn as you go. So I think get your, like you said, practice, get your concept, make sure that you can do it consistently, make sure that you have the right things in place for your team to be able to do that, and also give yourself the flexibility to switch up the format later on if you want to, or if you find that something else is working better, like that's okay. Also, like you don't have to be in this specific thing, but I like kind of that balance of making sure, because why the term is like leaving me. The term about podcasts that just like stop when people quit.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, it's honestly majority. It's,
yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think,
and that's why. But yeah,
but you have to have that process in the batching of content. Like, I mean, like I said, we're recording this in January. This doesn't go live until April, I believe. No, end of March. And so really trying to get ahead of it and understanding your process and understanding what everybody needs to do. And I think the other piece is the approval process. Like if you're in an organization, like who needs to approve the final edits and things like that? And like, how do you back in all of that time and make sure that you have everything good to go? I think we forget about that. And the post, like the marketing piece, like all of that, like reverse engineering it from the beginning to end so that you make sure you give yourself enough time.
Yeah, and that is such a big thing, right? Like so many people that I talk to, whether it's an entrepreneur, it could be an organization that's got 850 people in it. Everybody is swamped. Nobody's ever like, we're so well staffed that I just breathe. Like I do exactly as much work as I need to do, and it's all assigned to me in my role. It's all in the job description. Like nobody lives like that. So, okay, we're all doing more than we should. We're all shouldering a lot of responsibility. And that's just on the work side, not let alone the personal side. So as much as you can do a show and get ahead of it with all of these things, then it does allow you to breathe and go, okay, you know what? Actually, we had to cancel the recording date for this week, but it's not due out for a month. So we can make up for that, and then we will get back on schedule and still be fine. Like you don't want to chase, and that is really one of the biggest things that is doable, and I don't think people realize is possible in podcasting, because since it is weekly, they think, oh, well, I'm just going to do it this week at this time, and like it's live basically. But you don't have to do that, and it can be so much easier than you think. And that's a lot of the stuff that I'm working with people on is process as much as it is strategies, just to make sure that it is simple, manageable, efficient, easy to understand. Everybody's responsible for specific things, and you can just keep it moving. Like that's how it has to be.
Well, so let's talk about prep work for the actual content that's going into the episodes, because I think a lot of times we get hung up on the way we need to come across and how we need to show up. So for us, for example, here, we did have a conversation previously to kind of talk through a few things, get to know each other, but largely we know what the topic is. You don't know what questions I'm necessarily going to throw at you, but we know that they're within the realm of this basic topic. It's much more conversational, very informal. Some podcasts are much more formal, scripted, specific. I mean, I think you have to go in with your own flow, but how can we kind of jump over that mindset hurdle of we have to like spend all this time prepping like a script or like a concept for these podcasts and just kind of enter in and have a conversation?
Yeah, don't write your podcast word for word. You're going to drive yourself crazy. You're going to go absolutely nuts. At most, I would say if you were somebody that prefers to write the newsletter or the blog post or the social post, whatever it is that you do that first, and then just say, okay, how do I turn this into a 10-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute conversation? Like that's the way to play it. Because for me, personally, I'm a bullet point person. I've got 4 different things that I'm going to say. I understand what those things are. I've spent the time to think about it before I get behind the microphone. So then that way I go, okay, I know what this bullet point is. I might have an anecdote that's connected to that, or different questions that I'm going to ask the audience, essentially rhetorically in that moment of, hey, are you doing this? Have you thought about that? Do you consider this part of your flow? Like that, all of those things, but it's all just boiled down to 4 simple points. And beyond that, it just comes down to time management of understanding, okay, well, it is a 10-minute episode, it is a 20-minute episode, or I'm interviewing somebody and we have 45 minutes, whatever it is. And just knowing that going in, I need to pace accordingly to those things. And you get better at it as you go. Like you said earlier, right? Like all of this is iteration. You do things, you experience it, you get better, you have a better feel for it, and you get a stronger understanding of, okay, we need to keep it moving, or I was going to ask this question, I'm going to skip this question, or I'm going to do this point and I thought it would be 10 minutes, but I'll just make it 5 because the first one I thought it was going to be 10. It turned out to be 15, but it's good content and it's natural and it flows. So that is okay. Like you can't go into a show expecting this kind of perfection It's conversation. And so you have to lean into that and be comfortable with the somewhat flowing nature of it. So open mindset, don't overdo it. You want to be comfortable, so whatever makes you feel comfortable, but understand that over time you're going to get better. And to some degree, just as important, listen back after you do episodes and just say, what did I do here that was good? What could be better? Do I have certain verbal crutches that I use and say all the time? So if you just do those things, totally fine. We've all done it. When I got started, I was in radio for 10 years, but when I first did it, that's what I did all the time. So I got better at understanding those things and speaking a little bit differently in a way that I didn't have those kinds of tics. But I listen back, I listen to my points, I listen to my tone in the conversation, and I'm always trying to get better because you always can be. And so I don't try to beat myself up over it. It's just, I know this is the process, and I tell everybody that I work with the same thing. You're going to get better. As long as you're committed to getting better, you're going to get better.
I always say, I love that after somebody's response. And I always have to check myself and say, don't say that every single time. You can't love everybody's response. You need to come up with something else to say. So that's I love that. I love that. Okay. So, I think it's important too that you said that, because also you have guests sometimes that will come on. I've had guests that come on and they want to talk for 15 minutes about one question when you're we're just getting started. I'm not even getting to the meat of what I want. And they just talk a lot. Or I've had some people where I hit the 5-minute mark and I've already gone through all my questions because they've given me 1-sentence responses. And so I think, to your point, being able to manage through that, and also learning how to change the way you craft questions to maybe try to, in those cases, pull more out of those people that don't want to talk. When you're so focused on this is exactly what we're going to do, it's hard to maneuver through that. So I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, you just don't know how people are going to react to certain things. And sometimes something that feels completely arbitrary to you or just generally unimportant is going to be something that really resonates with the person that you're talking to. And suddenly you're like, oh, whoa, wow. Okay, let's explore that. And you go down this rabbit hole for 15 minutes. And it's okay because, it's not exactly what you planned, but it's relevant within the conversation. So now you've inspired them. You've connected with them. You can feel their energy change, their eyes light up. They're speaking faster, all the different stuff that goes, wow, this is connecting. And your audience will feel that. So as much as you have those genuine questions and curiosity, especially for interviewing, of, okay, these are the things that I want to ask because I actually want to know. I'm engaged in the answers. I'm listening to these answers, and I have follow-ups, organic, natural follow-ups. And, as you go through all of those conversations, eventually you have the other questions along the way that you'll want to get to. But that's exactly why it's okay for something that you planned for 10 to go 15. Great. It's in compelling conversation. Let it ride.
Yeah.
And just make the adjustments as you go.
Yeah. Okay. I want to switch gears a little bit because we talked a little bit about kind of the process, what to think about putting into the podcast. But from a mindset perspective, even if you're kind of okay, well, this is all well and good, but I don't really know how a podcast is. I don't know how it's actually going to support my organization. I'm curious your thoughts on, the power of using it as a tool to market the people that are with you or coming on. So you mentioned donors or people in your community. I'm not asking this question very well, as we just talked about interview skills. But so for me, I loved having guests on my podcast because I get to meet really cool people that can potentially be referral partners or networking for me. And because we're having this conversation, I know who I connect with a little bit more than maybe some other people that I might want to continue to build that relationship with. I can kind of build in, we're working on building in a better affiliate program that we can reach out to our guests and things like that. So for me, it's a networking opportunity just as much as it is a value add for my audience. And so how, as we as a nonprofit might also think about this podcast could be a tool to generate more revenue from relationship building, not necessarily sponsorship, but from the connection that we can build with people that we have on our podcast.
Yeah. So here's one of the great things, right? Let's say there is an organization that support yours. So you are a charitable foundation. You have different corporate sponsors that are involved in what you do. Get those people on. Give them an opportunity to talk about why they support your organization. Let them say it in their own words. Give them that opportunity to have the platform. When you post about it, tag them, tag their company, communicate with their marketing people. Let them know that, hey, the CEO of your company is coming on. We've already had the interview. Here's some clips of it. We're going to be posting on this day. If you could promote it, it's good for them. that's part of why they're connected, right? There's good PR that goes into having these kinds of relationships. They do have some reason because there's a million causes out there. Why did they choose yours? Highlight that. Now you're connected with this person. You're showcasing this person. You're getting into their network. You're showing direct value from it. And additionally, from having those kinds of conversations, you can also say next time donations come around, hey, and by the way, can you bump it up a little bit to support the podcast? That'll help us with our production costs to get this show. Now you have another natural avenue. Again, in all the things that you're already doing, you already have sponsors. So you have the thing that most podcasters dream of, right? You have people that are actually giving you money to support your organization to do the thing that you do. They believe in your message already and have supported that in the realest way they can with their time and their money. So give them an opportunity to do that for your podcast. Invite them to do it and see where it goes. You don't have to ask for a ton of money up front if you feel uncomfortable about it, but just say, hey, we're looking to do another 20 episodes of the show. We want to continue to invest in this project and see where it goes. Are you willing to support that? Here's what it costs. You've done episodes. You have an understanding of the time that it takes, the amount of work involved, the software that you're paying for. So it helps you craft those things accordingly. So direct engagement, you're getting the social reach and the networking that goes with that. And it's proof of concept for the kinds of people that you want to actually support that show and support your mission even further. So there's a lot of great things you can tie together.
Yeah, and what a great way to get to, because I hadn't even thought about that until you said it, but what a great way to get to a higher level person at the company, because likely if you're having somebody come on as a guest for your podcast, they're not going to send, the administrative assistant or the executive assistant. They're going to send, they're going to want somebody that they trust to be the voice of the organization. So if you're also trying to get to somebody at a higher level, having them come on as a guest is a great way to do that and introduce yourself.
Yeah, it's such a relief, right? Because now you have somebody that is of consequence in whatever way, right, with their station, and to be able to get that person to come on and talk about your foundation and why they're connected and the growth that they've seen and the progress that you've made, the lives you've impacted. Those are testimonials as well. When you're talking about high quality marketing materials to get those people and give them a natural avenue to say great things about you in their own words, essentially unprompted, is a beautiful thing. And so lean into that. Take those opportunities because you're not creating them just from basic social posts, right? You have those and there's value in those, but that is the separate and unique value that a podcast can provide. People are familiar with the formats. They're willing to come on. Most people say yes to these things. And so that gives you the chance to have that conversation, create that testimonial, sponsorship opportunity, networking opportunity, all those different things in what could be as short as 30 minutes of your time. And it's pretty incredible to have all of that in one package.
That's so good. I think a great place to kind of leave this as well, because we've talked about all things that you might want to consider before you start a podcast. And so I hope that people do. And if they do, or if they're thinking about ideas, or they kind of want to know more about you, Vince, and kind of your resources that you have for people, how do they connect with you?
Yeah, so one of the easiest ways to do it is I have a regular podcast where I'm talking about podcast production for businesses all the time. It completely applies to foundations as well and larger organizations. So it's called It's Not Just Talking, because people always tell me in podcasts, oh, it's just talking. It can't be that hard, Vince. It can't be. No, it's hard. It's Not Just Talking. So that is the show, and you can follow that, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. It's on YouTube. And then beyond that, if you're an existing podcaster or have an existing show already, we have a Compass quiz, it's called. And you can quiz your show on my website and see how you stack up and where your areas of need are if you're struggling. So you can do that at sbxproductions.com. So there you have it.
That's so great. And we'll have everything linked up, including the tools that Vince mentioned, in the show notes at thefirstclick.net/294. So make sure you head there and check all that out. But Vince, thank you so much for being here. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This was fun.
Okay, so are you inspired to take a leap and jump into podcasting? Now would be a great time to get your team together and have a conversation, brainstorm some ideas, and figure out how this can support your fundraising needs. I hope you'll go to the show notes at thefirstclick.net/294. Check out everything that Vince shared in this episode, and there was a lot. And I can't wait for you to share with us kind of what you decide to start and what your podcast is all about. I'd love to listen. Anyway, Before you leave listening to this episode, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you have your notifications on so you don't miss out on any episodes that we launch. And if you're in Apple Podcasts, leave us a review. Or if you're on YouTube, leave us a comment. Let us know what your biggest takeaway was. What was something that really helped you from this episode? For now, I can't wait for the rest of the episodes that we have to come this year, and I will see you in the next one.